threat of disaster is never pleasant.
Welcome to the Casual Preppers podcast.
These safety measures are essential.
The only place for prepping, survival, and entertainment.
This will be your source of survival instructions and information. Every member of the family must be coached in the business of survival.
Here are your hosts, Cam and Kobe.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, man.
Things are about to collapse. Chronically.
It's a chronic collapse.
Yeah.
The Collapse Chronicles.
Yes.
Rolls on, baby.
Yeah, we're going to keep talking about those scary things because that's all we're doing.
That's what we do.
We're strike fear in your heart.
We're here to fearmonger on people.
Yes.
We're getting a lot of that lately on social media.
Are we?
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, well.
Good times.
Just watch social media from anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
People are worried about a draft.
We're
right?
a ray of sunshine.
Yeah, so
I did do a post about the draft.
I know.
That was the
That's
one.
true, it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to dive into the digital shadows and swirling storm clouds
For real?
of a truly modern SHTF scenario. Weather wars and cyber warfare.
That was great.
Good sound effects.
Yeah.
We did not digitally put those in.
No, those were
That
from
came
our faces.
mouth.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell. But yeah, we're going to talk about like anywhere from hackers holding fuel pipelines hostage to rumors of HAARP-powered hurricanes.
Yeah.
HAARP-powered hurricanes.
Hard to
The
say.
episode explores what's real, what's theoretical, and how both could knock out power, paralyze cities, and ruin your birthday party next year.
Yeah.
So yeah, this stuff is actually pretty fascinating because
It is.
I think it's like the future of warfare. It's never going to be like World War II, World War I. It's going to be this kind of stuff.
It is.
I think so.
You're right.
I'm just thinking so.
Probably.
Just using my brain.
You know how to use it,
Yeah.
buddy.
Everybody's online, so why not take
Yep.
that out? That'll just cause all
Yeah.
the chaos.
You know who else is online?
Hmm.
BattleBox.
Yep, you
because
can.
it is
Get
the monthly subscription box full of solid gear for adventure seekers, survivalists, outdoor enthusiasts, and casual preppers. Each month, BattleBox sends you the coolest selection of handpicked outdoor survival and everyday carry gear, all valued at far more than what you normally pay. You never know what's in the next box, but here's a sampling of what users received this month. The vacuum sealer machine. Food
That's
preservation.
it, man.
Yeah.
Just that alone, I'm like, good.
Yep. Ruck and River Coosa Chef Knife Set.
Even better.
Even better. All this badassness starts at just $34.99 per month. They've shipped over 1 million boxes and one best subscription box of 2020. Our listeners get 15% off when you sign up at battlebox.com/casualpreppers. Get your first battle box and 15% off at battlebox.com/casualpreppers. I don't know why they didn't open my throat very well in that last call.
Your palate stayed shut for sure.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
Go to the ENT maybe.
Yeah, we
Have
just
that
went
looked up.
camping probably a few weeks ago at this point.
Yeah,
but
probably, yeah.
it was like all battle box gear that we were doing
Everything.
reviews. It's like,
Yeah.
holy crap, we have so much good stuff.
Yeah, it's the way
Left
to
it
do
all
it.
up there.
It's the way to do it. Yeah. So if you want to go find it,
We don't need this.
go get it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about why this is likely. Cyber warfare, weather wars. Why is it likely? Well, here's the thing. Like you might think, oh, cyber warfare is coming. You're wrong. It's here.
Yeah, it's
okay.
it's happening all the
already
time.
here. We've seen pipelines shut down. We've seen hospitals frozen, entire government systems held hostage. And all this is like some fat dude in his mom's basement behind a keyboard
Yeah.
doing this. It could be a fat girl, but you don't necessarily usually think of a girl being a hacker.
No, you don't.
But there are girl hackers out there.
for sure.
Yeah. All genders get in on the game. Critical systems are almost all connected.
We're being very careful right there.
Yeah. And I don't want to start a riot. We just talked about that.
You're
What was
prepared
that?
for one at least.
It felt like something flipped under my feet. But it
There's a
didn't.
cat in here.
Is that a rat? A cat?
What was it? Did it something?
Hat? A bat? What was it? Critical systems are almost all connected, and they all are vulnerable. None of them are safe, Cam. So, like, you got water treatment plants, you got power grids, you got banking systems. They're all run on the interwebs.
Yeah.
And that makes them all a target. You know, you can get into them some way, somehow, with the back doors or something, or wormholes, or what are they called? I don't even know. So you don't need bombs when you've got code and a fancy little laptop. And you get in there, and you're all of a sudden in the water treatment plant. And now
He thinks I'm a man.
I got boobs.
Caught
He
him
doesn't
off-
even
caught
know.
him off
Caught
guard.
him off guard. Never see me coming. It's like you don't really need bombs when you have like a fancy little laptop and you got your ones and zeros and you can throw them out in the inner space.
Yeah.
Webs.
Yeah.
Space webs. So today's wars don't always happen on the battlefield. Sometimes they do. Like we're seeing
They're still
missiles
seeing
and
that,
stuff.
yeah, but
a lot of times they happen on servers and routers and in your Wi-Fi. You know,
sounds so unexciting, but it
really
wreaks havoc on
it
everything.
really does. A skilled hacker can really do more damage than a missile can.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it depends on how big the missile is and where it hits.
That's
but
true.
most of the time you could.
Yeah.
And then
No,
what?
just last year, like they hacked the school, remember? And it
Oh, yeah.
it screwed everything
Shut
up.
it down.
Like kids were like
Yeah.
didn't know how to do their homework and couldn't
Yeah.
go online, and the teachers weren't allowed to go online. It was a mess.
Everyone on Facebook was pissed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Oh,
were mad.
They were.
But
Everybody's
it was like typical terrible communication on what was going on.
mad. Sure. Well, they
Don't
didn't
use
have internet.
computers.
They didn't have internet, so
Yeah,
it's tough to
that's
communicate. So what about weather wars? This sounds nuts.
Weather wars.
Weather wars.
It sounds like something on like the History Channel. It's
It
like
does, yeah. I actually read
good
a book.
series.
I read a book. I think it was called Weather War.
That's
Wasn't very
simple
good.
and easy.
Wasn't very good, but it sounded like it was going to be cool. A lot of people roll their eyes at things like HAARP or chemtrail conspiracies. That's me. I do roll my eyes at that. But the idea of manipulating weather isn't just sci-fi anymore. We've talked about this several times. Governments have openly experimented with weather modification. I just feel like we're playing God here.
Yep.
I don't know if it's a great idea
Seriously.
to be manipulating the weather. I mean, China's out there cloud seeding before the Olympics to get some snow. You know, the U.S., we'll talk about this later, in the Vietnam War, they were doing stuff. So it's
Yeah,
kind
they
of
were.
crazy. You know, it's getting more intense. Hurricanes are stronger. I don't know. Those things are just getting wild.
Yeah.
Wildfires, half the world's on fire at any given moment.
All the time.
It
We're
just-
under smoke clouds right now.
Oh my gosh,
So
it's
irritating.
annoying. Yeah, droughts are getting longer, and then some people are like, "Is this the government doing this?
Yeah.
what's happening? We don't know, right?" So the bottom line is
Government.
the bottom line is whether it's hackers or it's hurricanes. These threats are modern, they're fast, and they're very real for us preppers who are trying to be prepared for all this kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah. So let's talk about how it triggers warfare.
Yeah.
It pisses people off pretty bad.
Mhm.
So it's typically a state-sponsored or highly organized malicious activity targeting critical infrastructure. You know, a couple of big women down there taking care of,
they get-
hired by the government.
Being paid by the government.
by the government.
Yeah.
To attack government systems and cause economic stability,
Stability.
instability.
Yeah. Well,
But state-sponsored cyber attacks. So these are like the more direct attacks, and we see this constantly by China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, probably us too. But anyway,
I guarantee we're doing it.
yeah. So, and these are already a reality. This
Yeah.
isn't like future. We're talking about future survival. Okay, this is current.
Current survival.
Nations engage in cyber espionage, sabotage, and influence operations to gain strategic advantages. It's just how it is. I mean, that's what they've always done, and now we use the technologies to do
Hacking
it.
into Iran's Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just doing some of these things can really trigger major backlash or trigger a war. Sabotage of military systems, testing on military equipment, a significant cyber attack on one state against another's critical infrastructure, power grids, financial systems, whether
Yeah.
this be like testing it out or just kind of, I can really be considered an act of war.
Are
and
we going to
lead-
talk about? Do we talk about some actual cyber attacks? Do you remember Stuxnet? So that was the one where the government used. I think it was on Iran.
Yeah, that is in here.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
I'm pretty sure
Then
it
we'll
is.
talk about it.
If
later
it isn't,
then.
we'll bring it back up
Yeah.
because that one's super fascinating.
It's insane. Yeah.
to cause everything to isn't there spinning drives to over? Yeah, that's insane.
But they used their printers to get in. That's how they got in.
Is that what they did?
Through printers.
God.
Isn't that nuts?
Printers have always been a problem for
I hate 'em.
computer systems.
No, they never work.
They're always failing.
Yeah.
They're always
Yeah.
garbage.
Except back in the
just a
dot matrix
vulnerability
days.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
They worked.
They did. lot of messy paper afterwards.
But you had like a cable that's like 3, 4, 5, 6 inches thick.
yeah,
You know?
that paper never got shifted off wrong.
Well, it had all the right little holes in the side.
Pulled through a belt.
Stuff was awesome.
Yeah.
Never got jammed. Didn't feel like.
But yeah, see, but these things happening, these attacks on the financial system, communication networks, or whatever, are basically an act of war, potentially leading to retaliatory cyber attacks or even conventional conflict. For example, reports of Iranian hackers targeting U.S. water power plants highlight the risk, of what they can do and what they're learning to do.
Yeah.
That's the creepy thing. It's like, this is we can get in here pretty easy. We'll wait on this, use it later.
Yeah.
And then also with this cyber attack, you can get large scale disinformation campaigns, which really just causes chaos for everybody.
Yeah.
Leads to those civil unrest and riots.
It really does, yeah.
Compromise of media and communication, hacking to take control of national news outlets, or deep fake, or all that weird stuff, to officially communicate to people, but spread rumors and propaganda and just cause total chaos. And then the deployment of cyber weapons, the creation and proliferation of highly destructive or autonomous cyber weapons that can cause widespread physical damage or system failures could lower the threshold for their use in conflict.
Sure.
And then zero-day exploits, the discovery and weaponization of critical previously unknown software vulnerabilities that allow for widespread undetectable attacks. It's just there ready to destroy everything.
Those are the scary ones.
Those are the scary ones. Could be your regular bank system's like web page. It's just a vulnerability for everybody. And this can really upset a nation when it's possibly discovered by research teams. They're like, wait a minute, this is an open.
They're inside.
They're in here. And then this is probably the scariest for me is like those rogue hacker groups. And like Alfred said in Batman, some people just want to watch the world burn.
Some people, yeah.
It's
true, yeah.
They just
do.
They just want to create problems and cause chaos and start a war.
Anarchists.
And they're not even part of the government. Or they're hired by the government. Who knows? But this is a highly sophisticated criminal group of women down in the basement.
Yeah, they are
We
crazy.
don't want to leave them out.
All their periods are lined up. You gotta be careful down there. It's a crazy place.
And they're gonna mess with all of those, they're gonna mess with all the ovulation trackers on the women's phones. Man, what a mess that
But
would
they're
cause.
inside Ulta's servers.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
No.
Sephora,
It's
Ulta.
Sephora and Ulta. They
and,
own them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if ransomware attack crippled a major nation's vital services, the affected country might attribute it to a hostile state. I mean, you would think so. Like, I would assume that is an attack
For sure.
directly. But they make it look like it's another country doing it.
This feels like, if you've ever seen Mr. Robot, it's kind of It kind of uses this
I forgot about that
premise.
story. But Some of All Fears.
Some of All Fears.
It's a little older, but it's the same thing of like making it seem as though Russia
Has
is
done it,
doing all of this. So that's scary stuff. Those rogue hacker groups, and there's a lot of them. And then accidental AI-driven infrastructure failures. We're becoming more reliant on the consistency and the quality of AI taking care of things. But if that system fails, then you get this massive malfunction and chaos that follows.
Massive malfunction.
Yeah, so power grids go down, dam systems.
Damn it. They got our dam system.
Satellite networks, and all of it kind of fails, either being hacked or accidental, and then someone assumes it's just an act of war from another, it's like China did it or Russia did it. And so you can see how all of this would just spiral into creating a massive conflict.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's scary, right?
It is scary.
But a lot of times, the attack isn't just about breaking stuff. Sometimes it's about breaking people.
Yeah.
It really is. With cyber war and, obviously weather manipulation, which is kind of a side thing to all of this, but the goal might not...
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about
Yeah,
the
we
weather
will talk about
manipulation
that. The goal might not necessarily be just destruction, just like things blowing up and things, it really might just be confusion, because that in itself is enough to start a domino effect
Yeah.
of stuff, right? So like think about maybe like a fake emergency alert hits your phone. I mean, this actually happened. It wasn't fake, but it was accidental. Remember in Hawaii?
Yeah, that's perfect example of the accidental system.
Boy, people flipped out,
I
man. I would have flipped out too, but think about them sending out fake emergency alerts like, oh, Iran launched a nuclear missile. It's coming towards Washington, D.C. or whatever.
Gosh,
Can you imagine the mass chaos that would?
Oh, yeah.
And it's not out of the question that couldn't happen.
Yeah.
Like it really could. Or what about these?
that mistake happened right now. With
Oh,
what's
my
going
gosh.
on, you'd have to assume it's real.
You would have
You would
to.
immediately be like, this is for sure going
You'd
down.
lose it.
Ugh.
Or like AI deep fakes are getting so good. I mean, every week there
So
is
deep.
so deep. They're getting so much better like every week. You're like, oh my gosh, that one's doing that now. Oh my gosh, this one's doing it. It's not like next year we're not going to be able to tell the difference between real and fake. And obviously, like there are people now that can't tell the difference. Like all the boomers out there, they have a hard time distinguishing between AI.
Watch
and
his
real
cat swims on
Yeah.
top of the turtle.
You should have
all
seen
across
it.
the ocean.
He does a triple twist off the diving board. This cat does into the pool. I was like, no, that's AI,
I know.
Grandpa. That's not real. So
and then you're like, is it?
wait, I gotta double check that.
This is fake.
I know cats can't do that, but maybe I'm wrong.
Hey, ChatGPT, is this
That's
cat
exactly.
actually
That's exactly what.
have
I'm
to
going.
confirm with AI?
But this can cause mass confusion. I mean, if you think about the millions of boomers out there that would get caught in something like this so easy, you know what I mean? And what about the power goes out for no reason, or the cell towers stop working? You know, all these major systems have these outages. People don't usually wait for answers. They just immediately panic.
They do.
They go nutso as quick
Except for
as
us preppers.
except for us preppers. We just chill
That's the
out.
whole reason we do this.
Yeah.
So you're like, it's fine.
Yeah. It's just a cat jumping off into the pool. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus is coming. The grocery stores immediately flood.
Take me any day you want.
Take me and my son. The grocery stores flood with customers like immediately. There goes all the toilet paper. It's gone.
Yeah.
Gas stations.
Instantly.
They suck all the gas out the gas stations. Social media gets filled with crazy people, you know, bad advice and fake warnings. And I heard that this is happening. I heard this.
Yes.
I heard this though. And everybody starts losing their minds. Like it's basically a form of psychological warfare. Because hackers, they could even spoof news reports, you know, fake government alerts. And
It really is the most powerful thing. Like,
it is.
Like,
It's
easy. Just set the chaos off inside.
Basically, you could just break your sense of reality where you don't know what to believe.
Yeah.
And we're getting there. And then I think the weather panic kind of is kind of similar. Like it does feel like storms are getting stronger and droughts are hitting weird places and wildfires are burning up half the damn world. And people are
Seriously,
like,
constantly.
like, how is this natural? Like, you know, people are like, did somebody actually do this?
Yeah, with the rate of the wildfires, I'm like, how do we have any trees on planet Earth?
I don't know, man. I really don't know. So, like, the truth doesn't matter when this fear starts taking over. People act on what they think is happening, and then everybody loves a conspiracy, and they spread so fast, and then
And nothing's even happening. This is crazy.
And then panic becomes the real weapon. So as a prepper, this is what you train for. Just as Cam said, it's not just the event, it's the aftermath. It's the domino effect, the cascading issues that happen from one of these things. Nobody knows who to trust. And when people are making bad decisions in the fog of fear, it gets worse and worse and worse. And so your biggest strength in moments like
And that's
this
when
is
we release the episodes Fog of Fear.
fog of fear
Everybody,
with casual preppers.
if you want to survive,
Yeah.
listen to this.
Just get a gas mask. You're going to be fine. So the biggest strength in these moments is staying calm, sticking to your plan, and being ready when all these other people lose their crap.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's the key to all of this.
Fog of Fear, that's a great episode,
Fog
to be
of
honest
Fear.
with you. You know what I
That's
mean?
a good name.
I think we should do it at some point. I would
I
love
think
it.
we're already doing that.
We are. But as people who want to be prepared and ready for anything, the last thing you need is something that will slow you down when you need to be ready the most. That's why we at Casual Preppers have teamed up with Element. It is a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing that you don't. We think Element is perfect for bug-out bags and EDC kits. It'll get you through that fog of fear, no doubt. It contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio, 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 mgs of magnesium. Casual Preppers listeners can get a free Element sample pack of the most popular drink flavors when you make any purchase through our exclusive Casual Preppers link. They offer no questions asked refunds on all orders. You don't even have to send it back. This offer may be claimed by first-time and returning Element customers. This offer is exclusively available through VIP Element partners. You won't find this offer publicly available anywhere else. Head to our link, drinkelement.com/casualpreppers to get your order and your free sample pack with any purchase. That is drinklmnt.com/casualpreppers.
You're going to need it this summer. I can tell you that.
I've been relying on it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
We had that bad heat wave.
Yep.
It's been a little nice right now, but I know the rest of the country's suffering. Get you some Element.
Yeah.
So a little bit more on weather wars. Like what? This is more speculative, but I mean, it is definitely a possibility that could trigger warfare. So what are some of the triggers? So what it is, it often refers to the hostile use of weather modification technologies, which we do have and we know have been used. And you're going to talk a little more on that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But for example, like HAARP, or electromagnetic manipulation conspiracies, international droughts, superstorms, the belief that HAARP could manipulate the ionosphere to trigger earthquakes or tsunamis or severe weather events. People believe that this is happening.
Yeah, and look, it doesn't necessarily have to be HAARP.
No.
Right? That's just the one that everybody points to.
Of some sort that could create a weather system to either impair or cause an issue for any other country, or a drought, restrict water, destroy their economy because they can't produce or grow anything. And so the use of these, for example, to a country experiencing severe drought or superstorm, and they were convinced that the rival nation was using some technology against them, this could definitely lead to warfare. It would piss me off.
For sure. Yeah.
It's like, hey, they're restricting all of our water. I had no idea. That makes me mad.
Let's riot in the streets.
And that's like an indirect way of killing off people and hindering a country. And then the power of disinformation, especially in the times of crisis, cannot be underestimated. We talked about that and the fear and the chaos that comes from it. And then there's cloud seeding. The use of the weapon could trigger significant retaliation and lead to war. If you're using it to cause flooding, and that's kind of what, wasn't that Popeye? Operation Popeye?
Yep.
Induce heavy rainfall over enemy supply lines, infrastructures, and it just destroys bridges and roads and everything like that, slowly debilitating that.
What a crazy weapon.
It is a crazy
for
weapon.
war.
Instead of pulling the trigger, and shooting somebody, you just cripple their whole system by flooding them out. Creates muddy conditions, and you've got downwind areas trigger precipitation over one's own territory, potentially stealing moisture from clouds that would otherwise continue.
We took your moisture.
Yeah, now we'll make everybody mad.
Thank God for this moisture.
And then the possibility of combining the two. You know, a nation already grappling with a major natural disaster, hurricane, earthquake, or prolonged drought from weather manipulation, and then you hit their infrastructure with a debilitating cyber attack.
Boom.
That's a big deal.
That's a 1-2 punch.
So this chaotic environment and the suspicion of foul play would naturally arise, and people would go crazy. That would start a war pretty easily. So anyways, those are kind of the ways that weather warfare, I mean, there's a ton of different ways that it could be used to manipulate someone else's environment and trigger a war.
Yeah, and so let's look at some recent real-world examples from cyber attacks. It's so hard to say real world.
It is a hard one.
Cyber attacks, and then
you said it fine. I was just saying it's a hard word.
Yeah. How about the Colonial Pipeline hack of 2021? Ransomware attack on one of the largest fuel pipelines in the U.S. caused widespread panic buying, gas shortages, and long lines at stations across the Southeast, all from a few hackers targeting, a couple of ladies in a basement targeting a digital weak spot. No bombs, no troops, just code. So it's a crazy thing. Ukrainian blackouts pretty much every year forever. 2015 to 2022 was the largest portion. Repeated cyber attacks linked to Russian state actors shut down parts of Ukrainians' power grid. Civilians left without heat or electricity in the winter, which is obviously
The whole
deadly.
country should just be on a generator.
Oh my gosh!
Just give up on it.
Just give up. And it wasn't just an inconvenience; it was used as a weapon during an active conflict. China's cloud seeding ahead of the Olympics. So this was used before the 2008 Summer Games. They launched rockets into the sky to force rain over rural areas, clearing the skies over Beijing. So that's a crazy deal.
I remember seeing a bunch of floods and stuff that were caused by this, like destroying like rice paddies.
This
and stuff.
was
like, what were you doing?
Publicly documented, large-scale government-sanctioned weather modification.
This is in 2008.
2008. So what do you think they can do now?
At this point now.
You know what I mean?
Drones.
It's insane. Yeah. Operation Popeye, 67 to 72. This was a top-secret U.S. military operation during Vietnam War. The tactic used was cloud seeding to extend the monsoon season over Ho Chi Minh Trail.
That's so crazy.
That's just so nuts. Obviously, the goal was to disrupt enemy supply routes by making roads muddy and impassable. This was declassified in the 70s, led to international outrage and later treaties. The famous phrase was "make mud, not war." I mean, they still lost the damn war, which is crazy. I mean, lost. Whatever. I'm getting too far into this. Probably shouldn't be talking about. This sparked the 1978 Environmental Modification Convention, or the ENMOD, banning weather modification for hostile purposes.
Yeah.
Which I didn't even know existed.
And just that point of this led to international outrage and later treaties. I mean, that was with that tech. What now? And then there's no treaties on a lot of the newer stuff yet.
Yeah, who knows, man?
Who knows what we're going to experience?
Yeah, and then Cam talked about HAARP, right? HAARP. This is the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, and it is so dripping wet with conspiracy that it's hard to know what's real and what's not. But it has been blamed by a lot of different conspiracy theorists for everything from hurricanes to earthquakes. And it's commonly linked to suspected weather warfare in events like these, like the Pakistan floods of 2022, the California wildfires and droughts for the last 50 years or whatever. I don't know. They're constantly on fire. But there's no confirmed link here. The belief is deeply embedded in prepper and conspiracy circles. That's why we bring it up, right? Because everybody talks about it. It's a conspiracy.
It's a pretty fascinating one to get into.
It is. It really is. India versus Pakistan cloud seeding allegations. There were rumors in the 90s and the 2000s that both countries accused each other of cloud seeding to affect monsoon patterns in cross-border regions like Kashmir. No proof was ever presented, but the accusations themselves showed how quickly...
The accusations, that's all you need.
Again, this is it's part of a mind game.
It's like something seems weird and off, and it may very well be natural.
Exactly.
And they just lose their minds. They're like, nope, someone's doing this to us.
Yeah.
I can see that going crazy pretty quick.
Israel's weather control accusations. The claim was in 2018, Iranian officials were accusing Israel of manipulating clouds and causing droughts in Iran.
I thought Iran was just constantly in a drought.
I don't know.
Do they have rain there?
I don't think so.
None of the pictures I've seen don't look like there's any rain.
There's almost no scientific credibility to this, but the rhetoric and the distrust around weather manipulation becomes a political weapon. Again, mind games, right?
All you need.
And then there's this directed energy and this geoengineering claims that some theorists believe wildfires and drought patterns and even storm intensification are connected to secret geoengineering programs. Like, it's not just normal weather patterns or normal climate change. This is actually geoengineering that we're doing. Someone's doing. Governments. These claims surged during record-setting seasons in California, Australia, and Greece because they were all on fire. It was crazy. So anyways,
it does seem like make you very suspicious. Like, why all of a sudden now are we getting all of this? It's way worse.
Yep.
Is it actual manipulation or is it just Earth is a mess right now?
Yeah.
So the biggest thing for you all is like, what is our response as preppers? This is tough, like, because it's a really weird, concept of like cyber warfare. Like, how do I prepare for it? So obviously, one of the biggest things, like you were saying, is the psychological part. So mindset and training is probably the biggest part. Develop a low tech mindset. Practice living and operating without constant digital access. Going back to like off the grid stuff, like how do you survive and navigate and do things without all of the online connectedness?
I don't.
It's super hard, but trying it out and experience it for a few days lets you see like how much you have a dependence on it and where you can break some of that up. obviously, skill development, we talk about this every time. It's like learn skills that are not reliant on technology. You still need first aid, navigation, how to drink water, how to prepare water, how to prepare
ChatGPT,
food,
how do I swallow?
how to garden, how to regrow things. Like all of those old basic skills that we've talked about thousands of times are important and will always be important.
No matter the situation.
Seriously,
so,
yeah. And then community building. This is the hardest for me. Connect with like-minded individuals in your area.
I have one friend.
Yeah, exactly. Same here.
You know what I mean? Like I just don't have anymore.
And we're building that relationship.
Yeah, we're cultivating.
Yeah, so that's our local network. But you could, be more part of like-minded individuals in your area and attend meetings. And, some people like to get together and talk about all their preparedness stuff and go over their different kits and things like that. Not a bad thing to do.
There's a lot of preppers I don't like.
Same here.
It's a problem.
Exactly. Which is why we started this podcast.
Exactly.
And then situational awareness, like stay informed. Don't disconnect. You're like, I don't like to hear it. I'm going to listen to it. Like,
this one's hard for me.
A lot of people do that. Yeah, no, it's
hard.
It's great because it's so much better to just not hear what's going on in the world.
I know.
Because it is. It's like, how serious is this really? And should I be,
It's
but
just
you
the
need to be aware.
fatigue of it. I get so fatigued.
Oh, absolutely. And so some of the things that you can do is practice digital, as digital security. Strong digital hygiene is what we call it.
So you got to
It's paramount.
clean your computers.
Make sure your hard drives are sterile.
HIPAA cleanse.
Yep, HIPAA cleanse them all. I would probably just dump alcohol into the whole thing.
Yeah.
Let it dry out.
Great idea.
And you're good.
Yep.
But
that doesn't work. Let Cam know.
Right. But as you know, when you set something up, like Apple or whatever is trying to give you this ridiculously long password to manage things, it's probably not a bad idea, honestly. Yeah. You should be using strong, unique passwords for all of your web-related connections. And then use that MFA, the multi-factor authentication. The most annoying thing in the world.
It's so annoying.
But it's saved my butt a couple times. I'll all of a sudden get like this code, and I'm like, that ain't me. Wait, I just did that. That's right.
Your wife's in the other room. Let me in.
Yeah. And then when you get in, it's like 10 seconds ago, someone in your house at your geolocation.
Someone using your phone.
It was me. Yeah. Yeah. But that thing is super helpful and safe. Software updates are obviously important. Antivirus, anti-malware, firewall protection, network security. Like, don't be dumb and generic with this. Like, especially when you're setting up your parents. They will click on everything.
They will.
So, and then be skeptical. I'm sure most of us that, like, our hospital sends out every week.
Oh, my gosh. We do too.
See, it gets so old. But
that's fatiguing, but it makes me not want to click on anything ever.
Same. Even when it's like a needed email, I'm like, should I open this or not?
I guess I'm just going to throw this out the window.
Phishing tactic by my own work.
I've gotten rid of 6 laptops because of it. Just throw right out the window.
And then limit your online footprint. Reduce the amount of personal information you share online. You don't have to accept. The cookie thing's super annoying, but it allows you to not. You give cookie, I give you cookie. But everything you go to, it's like allow the cookies, allow. You don't have to always allow.
I love cookies.
And then data backup and recovery. 3, 2, 1 backup rule. 3 copies of your data, 2 different media types. External hard drive, internal hard drive, and then an offsite copy. Jeez. I do try to do this. This is hard. This is hard, but like downloading and storing my information on a hard drive and not keeping it in one location, like in my house, buried somewhere out in the field. No one knows about it but me. Okay?
Yeah, you have it in my basement, don't you? That's what you were asking to do the other day.
Yeah. And then you should regularly test your backups to ensure that they are restorable. Like some people have those backups and then realize that the hard drive's been used to copy some photos over to or something and erase everything. And then offline backups, like I said, those are super important. A lot of people don't think to put those in a different location and in like a Faraday bag. Yeah. Something that's protected from EMP and surge protection or surge attacks. So, and then your critical documents, make digital copies and make paper hard copies, like pictures and photos. We've talked about doing this of like your credit cards, the back of your credit cards, your ID, your birth certificates, all of those things. Like you should have a backup copy and keep them separate. So not when there's a house fire, it doesn't burn everything you own.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the rest is the stuff that we commonly talk about as preppers, the offline preparedness, essential supplies. No matter what, like with all of this stuff, you could potentially be,
Stuck.
like locked up at home for 2 weeks, or you're hunkering down, you're bugging in. 2 weeks could lead to a month. This is why it's super important to have your food and your water, your medications, and all of those things in a location that you can use and be as readily available. We talked last 2 weeks ago? Last week?
I don't know.
When the civil defense, and is that a week before? Right?
Yeah, week before.
Last week of how important it is for this, because if there is martial law and you're locked up at home, like you didn't choose to bug in, but now you're having to bug in. If you have all of these supplies, you don't have to go out. You don't have to worry about anything. You can stay home and stay safe. And one of these events could definitely trigger that kind of chaos, for
sure,
where you have to stay home. Physical security, have ways to secure your home. Communication, that's the creepy thing, is like things get knocked out, power goes down, internet. You got to have ways to communicate with each other. Kobe and I were able to test out some walkie-talkies and realize the batteries weren't very good.
They weren't great. They only lasted for maybe an
because
hour.
we haven't been charging and using them, and so you realize, wow, guess what?
I'd have
You
been
gotta
pissed
charge.
off. Yeah.
So, and then alternative communication ways, get your ham radio license. I've been working on it for 15 years.
Yeah.
Okay?
One day you'll get there.
CB radio, GMRS, and FRS radio gives you a little more range, gives you a little more ability. And then satellite communicators. I was going to mention on here, this is kind of cool. We used the Starlink, which was awesome.
It was fantastic.
Connected to satellite, had blazing speeds up in the mountains away from everything. It's expensive.
Yeah.
But they do have, and I thought this was kind of cool, they have a Starlink $10 a month backup plan. So you only have like 10 gigabytes of data, but you can just kind of have it as your backup internet.
Oh, cool.
So
It's a good idea.
I was like, $10 isn't a ton to be able to have internet at all times anywhere you go.
Especially in emergencies.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So that gives you satellite communications, satellite internet for $10 a month if you're interested. Just thought that was cool because I didn't know that they had that.
I like that.
And then, physical messaging. You might have a way to communicate without using a phone or a radio or something like that. Tying a bandana up on top window, left, right, something like that.
Left, right.
Have some communication, left or right.
Left or right. Oh, left or right.
The left, right. No one's going to figure that one out.
Yeah. I'm going to have it on the left, right side of the house.
Yeah. And then skills, like you were saying, just all kinds of different survival skills are going to be important in these. Bug out plan, power grid, solar power devices. You've got digital, you've got generators, all of that stuff, because the power grid is probably going to be the first to go down in any kind of cyber attack or weather attack.
And test those things, man. Like, again, we were up this weekend testing generators and communication devices. Like, it's all so helpful.
Yeah.
Every time you go out and test.
And again, if you have all these solar devices and it's a weather war,
yeah, exactly.
Just block out the sun.
That's right.
Creepy stuff. So you got to have these backup supplies, gas powered and hand crank, and just consider when the power grid's down, having a lot of different ways to back that power up. Back to power up.
Back to power up.
And then the other thing is diversify your finances. Still an important thing to do. Having cash on hand in other locations, and realize that you probably won't be able to use an ATM when SHTF, right? And then again, connect with your community. Figure out, I think it's a good idea, like you were saying, is more or less, if you're not into the big group thing, being connected to local alerts and things like that.
Absolutely.
Having the ability to know ahead of time when things are starting to go down is super important.
I agree.
If you're not connected, your community or group might be the main thing you rely on for that information.
Yep.
So anyway,
Like that.
today's podcast, I do want to mention, is brought to you by TacPack, the only tactical subscription box with useful professional grade stuff inside. Use our code Casual Preppers. Get a free $70 machine-made part from Next Level Armament.
How they do it, we don't know.
I don't know.
Nobody knows. Go check out TechPack. So this week's challenge, super duper simple. Simulate a 24-hour grid down scenario. Your wife's going to love it. Your husband's going to love it. Your kids are going to love it.
Dude, it is kind of fun.
It is kind of fun. I agree. Yeah. So that means no phones, no power, no Wi-Fi, no cheating with battery backups unless that's part of your actual prep setup. So ask yourself, what still works? What fails way sooner than you thought? And what does your family complain about first?
What's the bigger struggle? Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's really how you're going to perfect your plan moving forward, is doing these types of things. Again, Cam and I went out this last week. We tested out a bunch of stuff. We found holes. We found issues, and so now we can go and fix those, and next time it'll be better, right?
Yeah.
That's what all of this is about. And then you can get bonus points if you want to go like full savage and test your off-grid cooking setup. Get out your camp stove and your grill, whatever you've got. Try lighting your home with only what you
on fire.
Light it like just a lighter, your front door. Start there. But anyways, that's
containable in an area that's containable.
But yeah, use however your backup lighting, illumination. See what it's like and use it. See how it goes. You know what I mean?
I like this one.
Take a day.
This one's actually more exciting for to practice.
Sure.
I think your family can get in on it.
Yeah.
Be like, what did you do that for? Did you shut off the Wi-Fi?
That's right. And then, but go through it. See how it goes. Let us know.
Okay.
Because I think that's a good thing to try.
Yeah,
so that's cyber warfare. That's weather wars. Cam, we have the latest Crate Club. You want to take a look at it real quickly? Why not, right? Yeah, this is a Crate Club supply drop major. How about the Raptor Razor Mano knife? This is looks like talons of a velociraptor, basically.
Yeah, it's a great one if you're a hunter. And because it's good to like field dress things with.
Absolutely. And then we have the Wicked Wax, a 2-ounce tin of it. It's it protects lots of different surfaces. Metal, wood, epoxy, leather, all that kind of stuff. Even your hands.
What about I was gonna say body part.
Put it on your hands. Yep. The Peak Refuel Mountain Berry Cobbler, baby.
I've tried this one. It's fantastic.
It's good.
Peak stuff is so good.
Yeah. GPS concealed carry case. That's for your firearms.
Oh, that's what that is. I thought it was a med kit because it's red.
It does look like a med kit. And then we have the Fox Knives Tribal K. So that is the latest Crate Club. Go check them out, guys.
Yes,
that's all we got. Anything else today, Cam?
No.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for listening. Stay survived.